The gentleman from Texas, Mr. Paul, is recognized for 4 minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Chairman Kahn. I'm delighted you're holding these hearings today because it deals with a subject that I've talked about for many years, and we've had earlier discussions. And the Fed's position, of course, is that they do reveal a lot of information, and even in the testimony that we'll hear today, they still argue the case for exceptions. And the argument being that they don't want the independence of the Fed threatened and they don't want it to be politicized. Well, a lot of us think of independence, we put another word in there automatically. That means secret and clandestine and serving special interests. So it's a nice word of independence. But politicize, there's no goal. I don't have a goal of making it political other than the fact that the whole system deserves political attention. And yet it gets so little attention and has not had much attention over these many years. But there's good evidence that it's been politicized already. There's been journal articles written and books written about how the Fed has been influenced by the presidents over time, and that when a reappointment time was coming up, policies were designed to serve certain administrations. And so I would say that to argue the case that it should never be politicized is an argument against what we have, because it has been known to be politicized. But one other point I want to strongly make is the bill that I have offered, the 1207, has been challenged at time, and I think it's justified to at least question, and that is, how much would my bill affect monetary policy? And it doesn't. It doesn't affect it in any way whatsoever. We are not looking for the Congress to run monetary policy. We just want to know what's going on and why, and there's discussions. Why wait 5 years to hear the debate? There's a strong argument made that the sooner the markets know what you're thinking and what you're doing and what the plans are, the better off. When I first came to Congress, we weren't even allowed to know what the targets were going to be. And the markets, immediately after the meetings, they agitated. What are they doing? And they figured it out. And all of a sudden, they started announcing it. It wasn't the end of the world, yet they argued, well, no, you're not allowed to know. And there's a strong argument now that the more we know about what has been going on in this last year, the more it would have helped the markets. It's the unknown. And that is why we need a much more open Fed. And the people are demanding it. They want transparency. Transparency is a good word. But to say that a little bit of transparency is good, but we can't have a lot of it. There's certain things we don't want you to know what we're doing when we're talking to foreign central banks, foreign governments, international organizations. What kind of agreements do we have with the IMF? We have an obligation, a moral obligation here in the Congress to know exactly what the agreements are. And we're not doing this to preempt anything. This is the reason why the support for this bill that I have is now up to 255, and that's across the board. Liberals, conservatives, progressives, populists, and libertarians, they're supporting this because, and there's no agreement among those groups of what a monetary policy ought to be. They don't want to make it a political football. They're not asking for Congress to participate in the FOMC meetings, but to know what the strategy is and what the plans are. That is legitimate information, and we shouldn't be afraid of it. We shouldn't be afraid of the truth. There's been arguments over the years made about transparency, and I can give quotes, and may later quotes from Alan Greenspan, how important. And when you look at those quotes generically, they're very, very good. But when it comes down to the bottom line, they say, well, we want you to know what's going on the unimportant things, but when it comes to the important things, we want secrecy. I yield back. I see it's over.
Thank the gentleman for his opening statement. The gentleman from Delaware, Mr. Castle, is recognized for 1 minute.